For centuries, Rome stood as the most powerful civilization the Western world had ever known. Its legions conquering territory from Britain to North Africa, its roads binding continents together, and its laws shaping societies long after the empire itself would fade. At its height, Rome seemed eternal, a city and an idea believed to be unbreakable, guided by order, discipline, and the promise of stability. Yet history shows that even the greatest powers are vulnerable, not always to sudden catastrophe, but to slow decay that unfolds across generations. The fall of Rome was not a single event, but a long and complex process shaped by political instability, economic collapse, military pressure, and cultural transformation. Understanding how Rome fell means understanding how systems fail when their foundations erode from within as much as from without. The Roman Republic had already shown signs of strain long before the empire officially began, as civil wars, assassinations, and power struggles weakened traditional institutions. When Augustus established the Roman Empire in 27 BCE, he brought stability, but he also concentrated authority in the hands of emperors whose quality varied dramatically. Some rulers governed with competence and restraint, while others ruled through fear, corruption, or neglect. Over time, the imperial system became dangerously dependent on the character of individual leaders rather than strong institutions. As succession crises became common, emperors were often chosen by armies instead of law, turning the throne into a prize for the strongest general rather than the most capable ruler. Political instability fed directly into economic decline, as constant civil wars drained the treasury and disrupted trade. Rome's vast empire was expensive to maintain, requiring massive funding for armies, infrastructure, and administration. To pay for these costs, emperors raised taxes and debased the currency, reducing the silver content of coins until inflation soared. Ordinary citizens found their savings worth less each year, while merchants struggled to conduct long-distance trade, as trust in the economy eroded. Barter replaced coinage in many regions, signaling a retreat from the complex commercial systems that once powered Roman prosperity. At the same time, Rome's reliance on conquest as an economic engine became a liability. Earlier expansion had brought wealth, slaves, and resources, but by the 3rd century, Rome had reached the limits of its expansion. Without new territories to exploit, the empire struggled to sustain the systems built on constant growth. Agricultural production declined as small farmers were displaced by large estates worked by enslaved or bound laborers. Soil exhaustion and mismanagement reduced yields, while rural populations fled to cities seeking protection and food, placing additional strain on urban centers already stretched thin. The Roman military, once the most disciplined and feared force in the ancient world, also began to change. Maintaining large standing armies became increasingly difficult as recruitment slowed and costs rose. Roman citizens were less willing to serve, forcing emperors to rely heavily on mercenaries and foreign soldiers, many of whom had limited loyalty to Rome itself. While these troops were often effective fighters, their allegiance was tied to pay rather than identity. As discipline weakened, the army became both a protector of the empire and a source of instability, frequently overthrowing emperors and installing new ones through force. External pressures intensified Rome's internal weaknesses, particularly along its vast and porous borders. Germanic tribes such as the Visigoths, Vandals, and Franks migrated toward Roman territory, driven by climate pressures, population growth, and the advance of the Huns from the east. Rome initially managed these movements through diplomacy, settlement agreements, and military force, but inconsistent leadership and broken promises led to conflict. In 378 CE, the Roman army suffered a devastating defeat at the Battle of Adrianople, where the Eastern Emperor Valens was killed by Gothic forces. This loss shattered the myth of Roman military invincibility and exposed the empire's vulnerability. As crises multiplied, Emperor Diocletian attempted to restore order by dividing the empire into eastern and western halves, each ruled by its own administration. While this reform brought temporary stability, it also formalized a division that would prove permanent. The Eastern Roman Empire, later known as Byzantium, benefited from wealthier cities, stronger trade networks, and defensible borders. The Western Roman Empire, by contrast, struggled with declining revenues, fewer troops, and constant invasions. Rome itself, once the heart of the empire, became increasingly symbolic rather than functional as power shifted elsewhere. In the 5th century, the Western Empire faced a cascade of disasters. In 410 CE, the Visigoths, under Alaric, sacked the city of Rome, shocking the ancient world. Though the city survived, the psychological impact was immense, as Rome had not fallen to a foreign enemy in nearly 800 years. Further invasions followed, including the sack of Rome by the Vandals in 455 CE, which stripped the city of wealth and prestige. Provincial territories broke away as Roman authority collapsed, replaced by emerging kingdoms that blended Roman traditions with local customs. The final chapter came in 476 CE, When the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic leader Odoacer rather than claiming the imperial title, Odoacer ruled Italy as king, signaling the end of Roman political authority in the West. There was no dramatic battle or fiery destruction, only a quiet transition as imperial structures gave way to new forms of rule. Too many at the time, Rome had not fallen overnight. It had simply ceased to function as it once had. Despite its collapse, Rome did not disappear from history. Roman law, engineering, language, and governance continued to shape Europe for centuries. The Eastern Roman Empire endured for nearly 1,000 more years, preserving classical knowledge that would later fuel the Renaissance. The fall of Rome stands as a reminder that even the strongest civilizations are fragile when inequality grows, institutions weaken, and adaptability fails. It teaches that decline is often gradual, built from countless small decisions rather than one fatal mistake. If you found this breakdown of the fall of Rome valuable, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the moments that shaped human history. Let us know in the comments if there's another empire, battle, or historical turning point you'd like us to cover next, because history always has more stories waiting to be told.